It's a parsley bouquet, and I'm gonna use almost all of this parsley to make a delicious filling for a festive, fantastic pork roast. First thing that you wanna do is get 3 cups of washed parsley. Just give it a nice coarse chop. It's really not necessary to make it chopped at all, but it makes it a little bit more manageable. Transfer it to a food processor, and then 1/3 cup of golden raisins, a tablespoon of fennel seed. I'm just gonna chop mine up a little bit. Scoop that up, put that in your food processor. 3 tablespoons of olive oil. That'll hold everything together. 3 cloves of garlic. And then pulse it until a paste forms. Scrape it down, a little scrapey. Season it with salt and pepper. So what's happening here is you're getting like a little bit of savory sweetness going on. Now for the fun part. I have a 6-rib pork roast, bone in. It's festive, remember it's the holidays. I'm just gonna trim a little bit of the fat from the cap. I know some people like it, including me, but some people don't. So I'm gonna go halfway and remove about half of it. Take your knife and cut right above the bones. I would say about 1/2 inch from the bones. Cut down all the way along the side of the bone till you get about 1 inch away from the bottom. Then stop and angle your knife away from you and start slicing along. What you're trying to do here is opening up your meat like a book. So you just keep slicing along and unfolding until the entire thing unrolls. Once it's all opened up, then you put your paste in here. And you're gonna get all this great flavor inside the pork. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to the unpasted side and then spread the paste out evenly over the entire opened up pork. So then just roll your roast back up, enclosing the paste inside as a nice filling, and then you're gonna wanna tie it up. So just take your twine, slide it underneath, bring it up over the top between each bone, and then tie it nice and tight. Try to get it as tight as possible though. That's the most important part, keeping it tight. Transfer it to a nice heavy roasting pan. I like to go bone side down, fat side up, and then roast it in a 400-degree oven until it's a 145 in the center. Test it with an instant read thermometer. It takes about an hour. After an hour, when it's done, take it out of the oven, out of the pan, and let it rest for about 30 minutes. You want to remove the twine, and with your Frenched pork roast, it'll be really easy to cut right between the bones, and you'll end up with these really nice, thick pork chops. Super juicy and delightful, stuffed with flavor, restaurant quality but at home, and your friends and family are gonna love it. Happy holidays. Preparing ham is mostly about heating through and making it yummy on the outside. Make sure when you get your ham that it doesn't have the skin on, and if it does have the skin on, you're gonna wanna remove it. So this has been heated at 375 for an hour. Now I'm scoring the fat about 1/2 inch apart. What this does is allow for the fat to kind of crisp up with the glaze when you put it on later. It makes it super delicious. Any place where there's any fat, just go ahead and score it. After you take the ham out of the oven after the first hour at 375, increase the temp to 425 while you're making your glaze, because you want to start crisping it up before you start glazing it. Into the oven for about 15 minutes. You want to start getting the fat on the ham a little sizzly before you put your glaze on it. The glaze is super simple. It's 1.5 cups of apricot jam, 1.5 cups of bourbon. Whisk them together. Once your glaze mixture starts to simmer kind of aggressively, turn it down to about a medium and cook it, stirring occasionally for about 40 minutes until it's reduced by half. After 40 minutes, stir in 1/4 cup of lemon juice and 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. That's your glaze. You're also going to serve this as a sauce, so before you start glazing your ham, set aside about 1 cup of sauce for serving. Set that aside, and then you can get your ham out of the oven. It's been in for about 15 minutes. So brush it generously all over with the glaze, and then you put it back into the oven and you continue glazing it about every 15 minutes until the interior, when tested with a meat thermometer, reads about 145. Quite a transformation, huh? Look at how amazing that is. It's super burnished and dark. You feel like it's getting too dark, tint it with foil, okay? The pan does get a little bit burnt. Don't worry about that. That is perfectly normal from the sugars. And then slice it up and put it on platter for eating. But I'm gonna just take all the delicious glazed parts off, save those for myself, and everybody else can have the rest. This bourbon glazed ham is delicious. Try to resist eating all the glazy parts yourself. I know it's tempting, but you do want to save some for your family and friends. I mean, I think you do. Today, I'm sharing something a little fun and a little celebratory with you. It's a surf and turf recipe with parsley potatoes. The surf, shrimp, turf, filet mignon. Perfect for New Year's Eve. What you want to do is start off by cooking your filet mignons. I have 8 ounces of new potatoes that have been cut into small pieces. They're already simmering. They need to cook for about 8 minutes. Season your 2 filet mignons with salt and pepper, and then add about a tablespoon of vegetable oils. Add your steaks, and you want to cook them. It should take about 10 minutes for a medium rare. So you want to turn it occasionally, so every couple of minutes turn it, even on the sides, because filet mignons are very thick. I think my potatoes are probably ready to drain. You can drain them. And then I'm going to return mine to the pot that they cooked in and just let them sit there and wait until they're ready to heat through. I think the steaks look good to turn. Add a few sprigs of thyme and a tablespoon of unsalted butter. I have 2 here. I'm going to use 1 for this. And then you just cook it. Turn the heat down. And baste a little bit with that butter for some really good flavor. I've turned my heat down so my butter doesn't burn, but it gets nice and brown. This is adding a lot of delicious flavor to your steak. Transfer the steaks to a plate to rest while you cook your shrimp. The shrimp can get cooked in the same pan. Just cover it with a little foil to keep it warm while you cook your shrimp. I'm just going to go ahead and cook my shrimp. Add another tablespoon of butter. To your pan, just to add 8 extra large shrimp. That's about 4 large shrimp per person. Shrimp are great because they only take a couple of minutes per side to cook. And everybody loves shrimp. When the shrimp are done, toss them with about 2 tablespoons of parsley, and they too can come out of the pan. This pan is getting a lot of use today because I'm going to finish my potatoes right in the pan as well to accompany your steak. And lastly, the potatoes. Put them in the pan. These get a little bit of butter too, about a tablespoon goes in here. Voila! It's a full, fantastic, celebratory meal in less than 45 minutes. What do you think about that for your New Year's Eve dinner? I think it's pretty fantastic.